Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you today after my first address at the Security Council as Israel ambassador to the UN. I just returned from Israel a few hours ago, where I accompanied the Secretary General, who witnessed firsthand the tide of terror that continues in the streets of Israel. We visited a hospital where we saw the direct consequences of the horrific attacks. The terrorists who drive their cars into civilians and who go on stabbing sprees in the streets of Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Be'er Sheva, you name it, all have one thing in common. Their minds are inflamed with hate, and this is a direct result of the incitement against Israel. Incitement coming from the leadership of the Palestinians. And when I stood yesterday with the Secretary General in the Hadassah and Karem emergency room, a son of one of the victims approached us, and he asked the Secretary General to make sure that the incitement will stop. The incitement in the social media that led to the attack and that led to the situation where his father is now struggling in the hospital. Only yesterday, the Palestinian representative stood here and denied that the PA teaches its students to hate. Well, the facts speak for themselves. I have here with me more examples from the Palestinian Authority educational system which clearly incite against the state of Israel and encourage the killing of Jews. You will excuse me, I do not have the time now to read to you all of the information, but I will give it to you. Mansour writes hundreds of letters to the Security Council. He had spoken at countless events in the UN. Yet, maybe you can help me finding even one condemnation of Palestinian terror. I couldn't find it. One. The denial of Mansour is not surprising. He does this to divert the discussion away from the toxic statements made by President Mahmoud Abbas. He said that he welcomed every drop of blood spilled in Jerusalem. He said that the Jews desecrate Al-Aqsa with their filthy feet. I wonder if, according to Mansour's standards, this counts as incitement, or maybe it's educational material. Ladies and gentlemen, enough with the incitement. Let's speak about the facts. Every year there are 3.5 million visits by Muslims to pray in Al-Aqsa Mosque. Only 80,000 visits of non-Muslims at the Temple Mount. Only 12,000 of these visits were by Jews. Israel was and is committed to preserving the status quo and will not agree to an international presence on Temple Mount. When 43 people were killed and thousands were injured in anti-government protests on the streets of Venezuela, was there any call for international forces to be stationed in Caracas? I'm not familiar with that. In France in 2005, civil unrest broke. Nearly 10,000 cars were set ablaze. The French authorities declared a state of emergency, and yet no one suggested the solution was to send UN observers to the Champs-Élysées. Ladies and gentlemen, I call on the Security Council to stop making excuses for the Palestinians and call on Abbas and the Palestinian leadership to cease immediately the incitement and violence. These are fragile days. If the international community really wants to help, it should urge President Mahmoud Abbas to accept Prime Minister's repeated calls to meet with him. This is the only way to promote peace in the region. Thank you.